Welcome back, America. We're here with our friend Josh Hammer, really one of the smartest people I know. He has the Josh Hammer Show. He's Newsweek's senior editor-at-large, and also he's with the David Horowitz Freedom Center, great organization there. Josh Hammer, we see what Iran is doing to its own people. We see what Iran has done in terms of its ballistic missiles, its nuclear weapons. We understand the radicalization and fundamentalization of their ideology. Why aren't many Democrats talking out about this? I mean, they're not even in the debate, except every now and then they pop up and say, you know, no war, like they're hippies from the 1960s. But other than that, they're really not involved in this.
Well, Mark, to the extent that the Democrats are involved in the Iran discussion, they're on the wrong side. They're actually very much on the side of the regime. You mentioned David Horowitz. The late, great David Horowitz had this famous quote, Mark, where he said that inside every progressive is a totalitarian waiting to get out. And that has more than a kernel of truth to it. I mean, let's go back and think hundreds of years ago. Let's think about the origins of what it actually means to be on the modern political left. In many ways, our modern left-right political divide has its origins in the late 18th century with the French Revolution. Back then, what it meant to be on the left was to be with the Jacobins, to be with Robespierre, to ultimately leading to the guillotine. The left has long had somewhere between a fetish and an outright fixation when it comes to political violence. So when they see things like this particular regime, this ideological regime, much like the communist regime in Cuba, much like to every totalitarian regime over the past 150 years there, I think in many ways, Mark, folks on the left, including elected Democrats, see something of an ideological ally. Let's not forget that this rapprochement with the Iranian regime was a sine qua non. It was a necessary condition for Barack Obama's entire foreign policy, trying to bring them in, get closer to Iran, this infamous notion of trying to put greater daylight between the United States and Israel. So trying to cozy up to Iran and to, at best, whitewash away the regime's myriad horrific crimes against humanity, or at worst, to praise it. So, somewhere between that there, I think this is very much part of who the Democrats are. So to me, it's not shocking that they're not calling for the regime to fall. Frankly, because in many ways they're actually cheering on the butchery and the barbarism.
That's very well put. And in fact, Biden funded that regime, did he not? And that some of those funds undoubtedly were used toward their nuclear activities and so forth. All that said, I really don't hear any voice, maybe Fetterman, maybe a couple others who are Jewish Americans or Iranian Americans, but I really don't hear like Hakeem Jeffries and, well, Jewish American. Chuck Schumer doesn't talk much about this at all, and you're right. When he talks about it, he's on the wrong side. So is the Democrat Party now really part of this sort of Marxist Islamist mentality? They seem to welcome it, whether it's immigration, whether it's members and so forth and so on. Have they gone that far?
Oh, I think they 1,000%, Mark, have gone this far. You're essentially looking at a subversive fifth column political party operating in the United States. Now, to be clear, those of us on the right, we have our own subversive fifth column elements at this time as well. But in terms of institutional structure, in terms of a party-wide apparatus, it's very difficult for me to look at the modern Democratic Party and conclude that they are anything other than just mass cheerleaders for America's civilizational enemies. Nor is this a new phenomenon, by the way. Let's not forget that decades before he was the communist presidential candidate from Vermont, Bernie Sanders was actually the mayor of Burlington, Vermont, where he was somewhat infamous back in the 1970s at the very height of the Cold War for flying the hammer and sickle flag of the Soviet Union inside his Burlington, Vermont mayoral office. I mean, this is a very, very long-standing history on the American left. It's only gotten substantially worse, of course, in recent years. In my mind, Barack Obama was really the great accelerant of many of these trends. He was the first student of late 1960s, 1970s cultural Marxism to get there into the Oval Office. And a lot of what we're seeing today, Mark, I think, is ultimately the downstream to the very poisonous tree.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.